And welcome, Hoosier fans, to another edition of the Assembly Call Halftime Report. As the Hoosiers are currently down 32-28 to Iowa here at halftime. Nice shot there at the end by Robert Johnson. That's a really nice job by the Hoosiers. Tom Crean took a timeout with 10 seconds left to get something good, get some momentum going in there at halftime, because really the last about 8 minutes of that first half were not good for Indiana. The Hoosiers really, did a nice job offensively early, scoring 15 points over the first 8 minutes of the game, but only 13 points thereafter. And the offense really got bogged down. And I think really it was a stat that ESPN put up there that I think really shows what we're talking about. And if you follow the Twitter account, which you probably do if you're here, you saw my number one key to the game tonight was Indiana needed to make shots. But it wasn't just make shots, it's get good shots and make shots. And Indiana gets good shots when they play through the paint. Well, if you look at the numbers, and this was with about 4 minutes left in the game, something like that, when Indiana got it into the paint, and that typically meant driving it in because clearly we're not dumping it into the post much, we had scored 21 points. On no paint touches, 3 points, and 1 of 7 from the field. So those are those possessions where we're really settling, or perhaps there's some kind of turnover. And we actually have more turnovers on the possessions where we don't get it into the paint. So once again, we see the importance of Indiana playing through the paint, and Iowa went to that zone. We didn't really have a particularly good answer for it. But again, nice job there to get the bucket at the end. Now, the one trend that we have been tracking throughout the season is Indiana's defense in the first half and how it's typically been better. That was not the case in the Northwestern game. In fact, that game was the complete reverse, where our defense was just terrible in the first half. But tonight, against a good offensive Iowa team, if the stats I'm looking at are correct, and I will say that they currently have Indiana leading 35-32 because they have Yogi Ferrell twice in the box score, so something could be off here, but I think the Iowa stats are okay. It has the Hawkeyes scoring less than a point per possession, 0.988, and this is obviously a really good offensive team. I think they came into the game with a 1.12 adjusted offensive efficiency, something like that. So once again, the Hoosiers' defense in the first half is pretty good. And if we had played defense like this with this kind of effort and focus against Northwestern, we'd probably win that game by 10 points. So I could get frustrated thinking about that. I won't. Clearly, the most efficient play for Iowa in the first half was isolating Aaron White on Yogi Ferrell. It happened 3 times early. White went 2 for 2 and then got fouled in those 3 possessions. So we didn't see that again. Hopefully we won't. Indiana played a little bit more zone there later in the first half. But clearly Tom Crean's whole plan of, Yogi Ferrell and Stan Robinson are my best post defenders. That's not going to work against a guy as good as Aaron White. Another big key that we were looking at for Indiana was rebounding. And I think that is why Indiana is in this game, because they are rebounding. The Hoosiers we're not shooting well. Only 4 of 15 from 3-point range, 12 of 32 overall. So the shooting isn't there, but the rebounding is. And Indiana rebounding 80% of Iowa's misses, which is really good. Iowa's a pretty good offensive rebounding team, and also doing a good job of getting some offensive rebounds. And I think that's where Troy Williams really deserves some kudos. You look at the box score, Troy only has 3 points. And, he's missed a couple of easier shots you would think he would make, but he is leading this team with his energy. Only the 3 points, but he has 7 boards. He's had a couple of nice kicks that could have resulted in assists if guys had made shots. They didn't. But I thought a really good first half from him. I thought Nick Zeisloft hit 2 big threes kind of in the middle part there of the first half that really helped this team. Yogi, of course, has done a nice job. A guy that has to get going, and here's my key for the second half, it's James Blackman Jr. This is a guy that has played much better at home than on the road, and it's just not there tonight. He only has 2 points. He's got a couple of boards. He took one just atrocious shot on a pull-up when it looked like Indiana had some numbers to maybe do something on the break. He has got to get it going. I predicted in the pregame, he was my pick to click. I said he'd get 22.7 boards and IU wins, and he's really been the difference right now. I think the other guys are doing a good job. We need our Wayman Tisdale finalist, James Blackman Jr., to step up. We make excuses for him on the road and against teams that play real physical defense. This is none of them. This is the type of game he should be stepping up in. And there's no excuses for James Blackman Jr. He's a good player. This is the type of game that he can really excel in. And I think if he works it, he can get shots. And if he stays patient, he can get good shots and he can help this team out on the glass. So he's my key. I think Indiana needs to start out well in the second half, build some positive momentum. You can't let that sense of dread start to take over Assembly Hall. You know, the kind of the after effects of that Northwestern loss. Get out to a good start, get James Blackman Jr. going, keep rebounding, and you win. If those three things happen, Indiana's going to win this game. Good start, James Blackman Jr. gets going, keep rebounding. If any of those things don't happen, then we're going to be on here with a rather somber edition of the Assembly Call. Real quick, a couple of questions came in. They all dealt with Stan Robinson. Why do we play Stan? Why is he playing? Well, I will say I would never play Stan Robinson at the same time with Jordan Fuchs, which happened in the first half. I would definitely never play those two guys with Robert Johnson, which happened in the first half. Those are our three most inefficient offensive players. You can't do that. I don't know what Coach Crean is thinking. He quickly rectified it and got Hunter Perea in there. The reason why Stan Robinson plays is because he tries on defense. And he gets out, he denies passes, he plays good on-ball defense, but he's just got to play within himself on offense. And he had one nice play where he drove, got fouled, made a couple of free throws. But other than that, was a negative on offense. And if he learns to not be a negative on offense, his defense can be a benefit right now. You know, I can't say that he's really earned a lot of minutes, but that's why he plays, because he plays well on defense. So, and he's just got to learn to play within himself on offense. So that answers that question. Thank you, everybody, for watching. And again, the keys. Let's get James Blackman Jr. going. Let's get off to a good start, and let's keep rebounding. And if we do that, and if we can get the crowd into it and make Iowa feel the sense of dread and not us feel the sense of dread, we can win this. Remember, for Iowa, Assembly Hall is like we feel about the barn. It's just a house of horrors. They've lost their last four, and the last game they won, they only won by 1 point against an IU team that went 3-15 in the conference. So they don't like playing here. If we can make good things happen, they will start to believe they can't win. If good things don't happen for us, that black cloud's going to hover over McCracken Court, and we're going to start feeling that way. So I think the first 5 minutes are key. Got to do that. Got to get James Blackman Jr. going. Got to rebound. Join us after the game, assemblycall.com/live. We will be here to break it all down for you. Thank you, everybody, for watching the Halftime Report, and talk to you in about an hour, 40 minutes. See you, everybody.